Thank you for joining us. I'm Paul Wilson.
And I'm Alex Hogue.
And you're listening to Diesel Performance Podcast. Guys, today we got one of our favorite returning guests from King of the Streets, All Truck Challenge, UCC 2022, UCC 2023. We got Robby fucking Garcia. Robby, how the hell are you?
I am doing fucking great, my friends. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking out some time and being on the show today. Robby, you've been on the show before. We've talked to you in the past, getting ready for some of these events and talking about going to some of these events. But just in case somebody's been living under a rock, can you tell our listeners a little bit about the history of your truck? How did you start with it, and what is it now?
Man, so I started with it just being my big lifted roofing truck that I sold a bunch of roofs out of to it breaking down. You know, then I deleted it. Then I did a trans, and then that led to doing some turbos, and that led to some more stuff. We did some fuel, and it was just one of those deals that trickled down. And I thought I had something fast, and I was making a post on the page one day on the Fire Fund page, and it was funny because Josh McCormick hurt my feelings. He's like, "That's not fast." And, at the time, I didn't really know what fast and a lot of power was. I was thinking around 1,000, 1,100 was a lot of power at that time, but times definitely changed. Man, Josh is one of my really good buddies now. He's funny. He cracks me up. I always laugh about that moment. But after that, that's what really geared me up. I was like, okay, I'm going to show him. So I went through a cage in my truck. And, my first event, I was at the King of the Streets in 20. And I was drag racing down the strip on 37s. It was cool that big truck, even on 37s, I think we ran a 770 at that time, which, that's my first time down the track, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, 770 in a lifted truck with 37-inch tires is moving. God, I was listening to our old episode. Did you say this thing used to weigh 9,000 pounds when you were racing it then?
Yes. So when I drove up on the scales for the sled pull, I didn't do any changes. I've been running this truck all day the same, and my truck was 9,000 pounds right on the money, and I didn't add any weight. I didn't do nothing. I had a big ranch hand bumper, lift. It was just big and huge, but that day has been long since then. We are looking at a completely different truck. We have taken the lift off. We've dropped it, 4-link the front, the rear. No more cattle guard. Got the cowl induction fiberglass hood. It looks mean sitting on the ground. I love the look. We got some custom JTXs with the RKG floaters that I was super proud of. We ran those for the first time at the dyno on UCC. That's going to be my street dyno tire setup. But, man, there's been a lot of changes, especially even in the last year. I mean, heck, this year's been one hell of a year. I've made 2 dyno hits, 1 sled pull, and 5 passes down the track, and I've been through 3 motors this year.
That's more than shoes I've bought this year.
Dude, it's so Worlds is next weekend. It's right here next to where I live in Ennis. I live in Fort Worth. I'm gonna be there, but unfortunately I won't be racing. Finally pulled the trigger. We are going with an Enforcer deck plate motor. Unfortunately, it won't be here and ready before Worlds. We're not gonna get it till probably the second week of October, which puts us in super crunch time because we will be at the All Truck Challenge in November. But after we get the new deck plate in, we got to make some modifications. We got to do new piping because everything changes. So maybe one day I'll be prepared for an event where I'll have it all tested and tuned before I get there.
Probably not.
I mean, really, it's really been that way since I started racing. I mean, I'm never on the same setup. Things are always changing. We're always pushing the limits on what we can do. We go through an event, we learn so much, we go through so many parts, and we're like, cool, we're going to come back and we're going to do it better. I mean, this year's been a pretty amazing year. I broke the 2,000 horsepower threshold. I think I hit 2140 or 2240 3 on Fire Punk's dyno this year. It was cool. I was the top of this year, and I was the third all-time biggest pool on that dyno. Justin Ziegler was the one who made all the other pools, so there's only one guy. So I'm gonna say there's only one guy that's done it besides me. But now you got Logan Effling, who just decided to do an enormous pool, and I think he pulled about 50 more ponies than what I did. So he's got the #1 spot. But we've made more changes since then. We did the 8.5 cage sorted from Fire Punk. Since then, we've done a lot more nitrous. We have enough nitrous to send that motherfucker to the moon. We used to have a 472 on the T4 on the manifold. We now have a S480 T6 on the manifold with the Garrett G55 106 atmosphere, spool jets. I finally took out the Laramie Longhorn seats and put in some nice racing seats. Make it a little lighter, give it the look. I think last year at UCC, since I had a roll cage in there, but I still had stock seats and a stock seat belt, the inspector guys almost didn't let me race because I didn't have a 5-point harness, and only for the simple fact they said I did modifications in the chassis, which I didn't have modifications to the seat or the seat belt. They wanted me to have that, but anyways, with Greg A and LaVon, they came together, and I raced last year, but I made that change this year, so they wouldn't flag me on it again. And we're just doing things, if I can, to lighten up the truck. This year at UCC, we rated with the steel bed sides. I think we were right at 7,100 pounds with the steel bed. And with the fiberglass bed sides, we're at 6,500.
Wow. All the way down to 6,500. You shed 2,500 pounds in 2 years.
A long cry from 9,000.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's been a world of changes. We still have yet to put down a full pass on this truck, giving it all the business down the track. I think still the fastest I ran, I ran a 6.2 at UCC. Again, we were testing and tuning. That was just bad news. So when I first get there, I have a brand new motor, brand new trans. Both of them were fresh. Okay. And this is the first pass at UCC. I did not realize that when we were starting it up, that the red light on my anteater was going off. I didn't even bother to look at it, but it was flashing red, meaning the trans was not communicating with the truck. I didn't even see it, didn't recognize it. I've never even seen it before, so it didn't register. So, we're spooling up, and, dude, I leave, and it felt like it was so soft. And then I felt the chargers just come on top of it, and I'm like, man, this thing's not shifting, but I'm not at my rev limiter. I don't know what's going on, but I'm one of those people who just say fuck it and send it. And I sent it, but I sent it in third gear all the way down the track.
Oh.
Yeah. So the trans was not happy at UCC on that day. The torque converter was definitely pissed. But it's track day, and we're trying to give it the most, and we're trying to get everything dialed in. So then on this one pass, I think I'm 2 or 3 passes deep. I decided we're like, okay, let's just turn on the nitrous and see if we can get, we knew we were having trans problems. We just didn't know the extent of it. So we decided to give it the nitrous and just see if we can get a good pass in, before this trans is on its last leg. And we did, but I could definitely tell that the torque converter was locking up and letting go, and I should have let out, but I said, fuck it, I need a good time. So I kept it all the way down. Not only did we go through a trans at that moment, we went through, we blew through the rings, cracked the block on that motor. Oh. That motor was shot. But here's the crazy thing: is this was one hell of a night. So we get the backup motor. I mean the backup trans, because all we think is a trans at this moment, and we replaced the trans one night. Well, didn't realize we picked up the wrong torque converter when picking up the new trans. And so then that thing wasn't working. They worked on it all night and said, fuck it, we'll get back to it. They stopped at like 4 in the morning. We get back to it. We're working on like 8 at night. We've got the dyno, on Saturday at UCC. And we finally get the trans, all situated. And then we realized that we have more of a problem than just the trans. There's something wrong with this motor. It doesn't have compression. So it is literally 11:15 on Saturday, and we're scheduled to go on the dyno about 5 to 6 p.m. And we're like, guys, we have to rip this fucking motor out and put the backup motor in there. And sure enough, dude, my team was so great. They ripped that whole motor out, got it back in. We were on the dyno at 6:15. The last, thank God for
cutting it close.
The only reason why we made it is because, dude, there is such awesome camaraderie, when it comes to the sport. There's guys like, I think Logan helped me out, Greg A helped me out, because on there, Josh McCormick helped me out. Instead of just going up there and doing a big dyno rip on their time, they ran the clock out to the full 30 minutes for me, because they were just going to get up and do one pull and get down, which would have taken, 5-10 minutes, and then I wouldn't have made it. So, with those guys being awesome, they jumped the clock out. I was able to get up on the dyno. I brought a backup motor because I knew when I put the big Jetson Max saying going over 2,000, I go through a motor. So I was planning on changing the motor out after the dyno day and spraying big numbers. That's why I brought the backup motor. But now I had to put the backup motor in to make the dyno. So we put the small jets in there. We put two 136 jets in there, which is about 300 horses of nitrous. And we pulled up on the dyno. It was awesome because I had my JTX sports wheels that I just got. They're so badass. They had the RKG floaters. Pulled up on the dyno. We made one pull. We spit out a little over 1,800 horses. I was cool with that. That was a decent. That was a great number for what I was going to do, and not break anything because we still had the sled pull the next day. So, and the sled pull day was great though. I think I was one of the last ones there that was in line. But there was this crown and the crown in the track, and everybody was telling me about it, and I just didn't know what they were talking about or what to do. And my nitrous was on a controller on the pedal. Well, anyways, used to in my old T4 setup, my charger would spool quick. Well, with my new chargers on the T6 setup, they don't spool as quick as they used to. So my setup's different. I haven't sled pulled in that setup. Well, I started bouncing on the sled pull when I was going down the track, so I let out of the pedal and back in, and out on the pedal and back in. Well, sure enough, I didn't have enough EGTs at the time, or it just, nitrous was going, there was no combustion, pistons are going, and then boom, the truck blows up. I still made an amazing pull, though. I think I made number 5 or 6 pull of the day. I think I got like 305 feet, something like that. Can't really remember exactly. But, I not only have the most badass picture from Amy Gilbert. John Gilbert's wife was down there taking some shots. And I had to buy this one from her. I blew it up, put it on the wall in my office, the truck catching fire. It was. I'm gonna just look at it and say that is probably the most expensive picture I'll ever look at. Going through that motor.
If a monkey fucking a football could be graceful, I think that's what I would describe your event at UCC like.
Yeah. It was violent, to say the least.
So, Robby, what did you ultimately end up placing at UCC?
I placed number 7 or 8.
That's still not bad.
Which one? I'll have to look. No, so we had 20 trucks enter, 15 trucks ended or made it to the end, and I placed number 7. Dude, I'm happy. Each one of these big events that I do, I'm always moving up from where I used to. Last year, I was, number 15. I was number 15 out of, 20 trucks made it last year. 15 trucks ended the event, and I was number 15, so I was last. So I made it up the totem pole this year.
You jumped up the totem pole. That's a huge lift. You didn't crawl your way up. That's a huge jump.
And it was pretty cool because I placed second at ATC last year, and I was just, I was on a new setup, just trying to make it through the event. I had no idea that I've been doing decent the whole event. I just didn't add it up that, holy shit, I made number 2. So that was cool. And I actually got some money out of it. I won some money out of that one. And it was so great because I got this check in the mail. And my wife was like, "What's this?" I was like, "Oh, I think I won some money for racing." She's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Finally. It was $5,000. It's a drop in the hat from what's actually spent, in the sport. But it was still cool to say, yeah, I finally won some money and a fucking trophy.
I mean, that makes you a professional truck driver. Like you are now a professional automotive competitor.
I think so. If Josh McCormick would sit down, maybe someone else could get first.
I love it.
He needs to retire soon. Is all I can say.
That's it. Yeah, well, he's an old guy now, right? In the sport. I mean, he's over 25. So, Robby, can you walk our listeners through your very first event, if I remember correctly, was All Truck Challenge or King of the Streets? It was back then. Is that right?
Yeah, King of the Streets 2020 was my first event. It was during
2020. 3 years. First event to competing and landing in 7th place at UCC, the absolute top echelon of diesel performance competition. What do you think are some of the biggest lessons you've learned over these 3 insane years you've had with trucks?
If you ever go big, just do it big the first time and quit baby stepping.
Don't be a bitch.
Saves a lot of money.
Do it all up front.
Exactly. Do it all up front. You're going to spend the money all up front. Save yourself the long run of headaches.
And then break everything.
Yes.
Okay, racing, dyno, sled pulling. What's your favorite?
Ooh, man, I love drag racing. It's so much fun.
Now, you like the heads-up drag racing, or you like just running down a track by yourself? Like, what about drag racing really kind of gets you excited?
So, man, the reaction time at the tree, the jump, that's always cool. And it's always cool because I like seeing videos of me not doing well, taking off, and then my truck just catching up. My chargers will pick up like mid-track, and the truck will just go fucking crazy, and that's always cool to watch. But this year at Texas Truck Jam, I made it there, but I didn't get to compete at the Truck Jam because I blew it up the night before in cash days. Cash.
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
What happened to cash days?
So again, this was the first time I'd ever touched this new T6 setup, and Cody, the dude who owns the shop here locally at Bare Knuckles, we were talking about it. We're like, man, if it takes off soft, just grab that kit of nitrous. And that's all we were thinking. We were thinking anything else. Hey, if it takes off soft, we're gonna grab this kit and we're just gonna fucking scoot. Well, sure enough, man, like for some reason, right when I got up to the line, my dash wasn't working where I could read my boost. So I was trying to just go off the ear, go off the telnet, but I could not get this thing to spool or shit. Anyways, the flashlight hit to go, and I said, fuck it, dude. I let off the brake, I put it to the floor, and it was just sluggish, and I was watching this truck that should have nowhere even business being in the vicinity of me, just like start pulling on me. And I saw this nitrous button, so I grabbed it. and dude, the sound of the chargers and everything coming to life were incredible. The way this truck moved was incredible. It was gnarly and made the best pass and pull. But sure enough, we were too low boost when I grabbed it and it cracked the block. We probably dumped about 5 gallons of water out of the turbo.
Oh my god!
I was thinking about draining it and running it dry, but I don't want to do all that. So we just sat the event out and just spectated. But anyways, so cash days. I'm really interested in doing some more of that too.
Cash days.
No
Okay,
prep.
you like the no
Yes.
prep, that no prep lifestyle. That's still big down in Texas, isn't it?
hmm They have quite a few that goes on here, and the good thing is like down here, it does that kind of scene. My truck really isn't kind of known, I guess you could say. So I want to fuck with some people once I'm running right. They're like, oh, this big ass truck. Okay, let's go.
Do you know, I was
just hammering down the business.
I was just out at a car show last weekend with the boss's Hummer, and it's got the Duramax conversion. It's a super cool ride. But I was standing there at the car show with all these classic cars, and I forget how little gas guys know about diesels. Like, you don't know how many guys had badass classic cars, like totally cool fucking whips here, and they're like, oh, so yeah, but what's this thing get for fuel mileage with those tires on there? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? You're driving a $60,000 fucking Camaro from 1970 something. Like, you care about fuel? You don't care about fuel mileage. What the fuck are we talking about? But like gas guys, they have absolutely no clue. One guy asked me, and I was like, I don't know. I think like normal driving, it probably gets like 15 to 18 miles the gallon. He's like, oh, so you must have re-geared it, huh? What the fuck are you talking about, old man? Like, they have no clue. They have absolutely no clue. So I do love the idea of you rolling up in a quad cab long bed, fiberglass cowl induction hood, fiberglass bed, and then being like, yeah, but does it roll coal? You're like, shut the fuck up. Let's race.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's going to be fun. The crazy thing is last year at ATC, you got to do that 100-mile street drive. And I have this 10-gallon fuel cell on it now, and I was scared. I was like, holy shit, this is not going to be enough. so Cody went with me because he was prepared to climb out the sliding back glass and fill it up in the bed of the truck while we were going. So he took fuel just in case to do that. But the crazy thing is we drove the whole event, and we didn't feel anything, so we just didn't stop. And we got back to the event, and we put 3 gallons in it to top it off.
Oh, wow.
That means we drove 100 miles on 3 fucking gallons. I'm not shitting you. It's the most unbelievable deal on some 400% over injectors.
Let's run through your current build. What you're going to be putting it back together, so I assume you've got everything spec'd out as far as what turbos, what injectors, what pumps. You said you're doing the deck-plated Enforcer, is that right?
Yeah, so we'll have a Enforcer deck plate motor going in there. Everything else is going to stay the same. We have enough air and fuel to, shoot to the stars. We have 400% Exergy injectors on 2 Exergy 14 mil race pumps. We're running the Air Dog 5G 220, I believe. I think that's the biggest one I have, the 220, which is keeping up just great. We've got 2 mega jets of nitrous. We have a spool jet. We have the S480 T4 on the manifold, the Garrett G55 106 on the atmosphere. We're going to move to a 2nd gen intercooler and radiator, because right now we're running that 4th gen on the bottom. So when we do the deck plate, we're going to switch it out. So pretty much going to be a 2nd gen everything inside of a 4th gen truck, which is pretty cool. We have the 840. We did the 849 ECM swap. Unfortunately, we have no more heater air inside the truck. That went away.
No, it can't be a daily driver anymore.
Minor details.
Yes, I know. And then after that, hopefully, eventually, once we get the motor back in, I am going to put the stereo back in. I don't know if anybody remembers, but this thing has the loudest stereo that goes in it. I've just done so many modifications, and it's always down that I never have time to take it back to audio before the race. But this year I will.
I love it. Okay, UCC on the books for sure this year.
Yep.
All truck challenge. Gonna try to make it. Is that right?
No, I mean, through hell or high water, I will be there.
Broken or not.
5 cylinders or 6. You don't give a shit.
Find,
she's gonna run.
Yes. I'm gonna send it at ATC for sure.
I love that.
I've got the turbo piping set up to be installed the third week of October. They'll need a full. It's literally going to get done with piping and get loaded on the trailer to go out of town. with no prep time, but it's cool. I've driven this thing plenty of times. It'll be okay.
It's a setup you're comfortable with. So as long as everything comes together the way it should, you should just be able to jump in it. You know what to expect out of these chargers. You know what to expect out of the spool jets. You're feeling like, hey, I can go there and I can kick some ass.
Right.
Okay.
We're going to make it happen.
Are you one of these guys that's chasing the 3,000 number now that Ziegler and Patterson have hit it? Are you going after it too?
Man, I don't really care to. I mean, it'd be cool to maybe one day get to it. You know, I've got some big jets where I'm pretty sure I can get close to that mark. Because we put the .250s or the .225s in there when we hit that big number at Fire Punk. And LeVon was saying that was enough nitrous to be about 1,000 to 1,100 horsepower in nitrous. And we hit 1,600 or 1,700 in fuel and then hit that nitrous. But his dyno won't read all the power that it's putting down. Kind of like Ziegler. Ziegler made 2197 on that dyno. And then on the same setup goes to UCC and hits 3,300 on the Superflow. We were excited to see that number because LeVon thought we were going to be close to the 2,600 mark with those in there.
Right.
But you know, we didn't want to blow up our spare motor, so you know we kept it conservative.
What'd you come in to make horsepower at UCC?
UCC, I kept it conservative. We did 1,800. I kept it under 2,000. But I was going to say we have bigger nitrous jets that we can put in there, the .325s, and I think those are going to get me close to that 28 to 3,000 horsepower threshold. And I mean, we'll see. I just know once I hit that, just more shit's gonna break, and I'm kind of at a point where I want it to stay together. You know, I want to hit these big numbers and just whatever it is, and I want to stay together, and I want to just, you know, I want to compete. I know the downtime, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, waiting on parts, waiting on motors, waiting on machine shops. Once those big components go out, it doesn't matter if people are behind you or not. It's just a waiting game.
Yeah, that is the tough spot is once you're into this horsepower range. By the way, 1,800 horsepower used to put you in like the top 3, top 4 for UCC dyno. Now that lands you middle of the pack. Like, you know, if you're not over 2,000, it's a joke, right? So it's kind of crazy to see how fast this sport is evolving and who's going to keep up with the evolution of the sport, right? There's a point where time and money become your restrictions, where it doesn't matter if you have a shop or you have a roofing business or whatever you're into. At some point, you're like, this is real money. This is real time. Can I keep dumping it into the truck? So I love the idea of like trying to find that happy spot of, hey, this is what I do with the truck and this is how I know to keep it safe. Do you think you'll find yourself getting more into like just racing brackets at your local track, or do you like doing the travel to the big national events?
So I love the national events because that's really what got me definitely loving the sport is watching UCC, watching the Diesel Power Challenge, seeing those guys out there, you know, just dreaming, God, I want to be there. And, you know, now we are here. But, man, I really want to be able to hit those high numbers, but I want to dial it back, and I really want to run the 6-7 class and just – you know, knock Landon Miller out of his king spot. LOL, just kidding, Landon, if you're listening. You know, but he's a badass in that class. But you know, with the 6-7 class, I know it'll have power if I wanted to turn it up and go race cash days. I know I could run a 6-7 class in that and keep it together without putting so much through it and all the stress. Because we all know, no matter what it is, when you're putting that much power through the truck and hitting those, man, you're making every component on their week. No matter if you're built or not, something's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
And is that why you like the no prep events that much is because you kind of just jump into it knowing something's going to break and kind of problem solving your way through the event to place wherever you're going to be?
Man, I more or less like the no prep just because it was less official. You know, there's a guy out there with a flashlight instead of a tree, and you've got, you know, some guys out there who think they can race that may not know how to race, and it's just, you know, it's just funny what you go up against, and it makes it more fun, to be honest with you, just because the not knowing of looking over, you never know what's under that hood. It could be one of the worst looking vehicles ever, and have something stellar under the hood.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. That sleeper approach is really a big part of that no prep life, right?
Those are my favorite builds, honestly.
Yeah? Yeah, when it's ugly, rotted out,
Yep.
you're like, oh, yeah, let's see it.
Yep, I want to see the rust through the fenders.
Yeah, and you know, that's what I kind of originally, you know, built my truck to be on the streets, is, you know, a little sleeper truck that was big and lifted and had some power. I just kind of lost realm of that and just hit a full send.
Yeah, no, you completely lost touch with reality with this build. It's out of control. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's fun. It's fun. And in the end of the day, that's really all that matters. Is I'm not really out there to have first place trophies, win a bunch of money. I am literally just in it like, this is awesome. This is fun. Dude, I have a truck that does over 2,000 horsepower. How cool is that?
You sound like me trying to explain diesel performance to my mom. Like, Mom, it's got over 2,000 horsepower. It's cool. Just trust me, it's cool.
Yes. Exactly.
Well, Robby, I'm so excited to see you compete. I know we're definitely going to be watching everything that's going on with All Truck Challenge. I think it's a really cool event. I'm really glad to hear that you're committed to being there. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Man, I just want to, give shout out to my regular people who's always there, grinding. You know, my wife, Cody Gilbert, at Bare Knuckle Diesel. The Fire Punk team who's always there, that's, hopping in on the truck, helping tuning on the fly. Bare Knuckle always being there, making sure the truck's running, going down the track at all times. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into that truck. It's truly amazing what they do. Team RKG Racing, what? Yeah, we made a little name this year, Team RKG Racing. We logoed everything out, made some shirts. It's pretty cool. And, we have a couple sponsors we picked up this year. I want to thank them. We have Exergy Performance, D&J Precision. I believe we picked up JTX Forged Wheels as a sponsor too. So I want to give them a little shout out there. And man, hope everybody follows and watches this truck as it comes along. And, we're going to be at the top spots here pretty soon for sure.
Well, you just heard it from the king of Fuck It, Send It. That was Robby Garcia. Thank you so much for joining us today, Robby. Thanks for joining us today, guys. This has been Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.
We have enough nitrous to send that motherfucker to the moon.